Making the headlines tonight. Prime Minister Hun Sen has called on all the relevant ministries and private sectors to help promote Cambodian products to be bought and sold online. The National Election Committee has decided to reject a list of candidates from the Candlelight Party to contest in the council elections due to lack of qualifications. Russia says they will present factual evidence to the United Nations Security Council that its forces have not been killing civilians in Ukraine and not involved in events in Bucha. And toy maker Mattel releases their first retail toy that is certified carbon neutral, which includes building blocks designed to encourage environmental conscious behaviour. This is the Daily Roundup on EAC News Channel. A very good evening to you. I'm Anthony Ellis. Prime Minister Hun Sen has called the relevant ministries, especially the Ministry of Commerce, as well as the private sector, to organise markets to help Cambodian products to be bought and sold online. The Prime Minister made this call in a letter he wrote to commemorate the upcoming 5th National Day for the promotion of Khmer products on 9th of April. EAC News reporter Deccan Nin has the story.
In the Prime Minister's letter, he notes the theme of the 5th National Day for the promotion of Khmer products as supporting Khmer products to preserve the national economy. He says this theme will inspire as well as encourage all citizens to support and pay attention to the promotion of local products, which contribute to the development and growth of Cambodian society. The Prime Minister proposes that the relevant ministries, institutions, subnational administrations, and public continue to work together to implement the National Committee for the Promotion of One Village, One Product. He urges the capital provinces and the Ministry of Commerce to collaborate with the private sector to organize the online marketplace to assist Cambodian products be bought and sold online, as well as be exhibited at various product exhibition events both in the country and abroad, including at Cambodian representative offices abroad. In addition, he also urged the relevant ministries and institutions to continue smoothly cooperating and coordinating with one another on promoting the use of Cambodian products. This includes continuing to widely disseminate locally made products in Cambodia and abroad in cooperation with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and international cooperation. Cambodian overseas representation will help to promote Cambodian products at various international events and note the potential for the sale of local products in overseas markets. Prime Minister Hun Sen also particularly encourages all Cambodians to support the promotion of Cambodian products under the slogan, "One person buys at least one Cambodian product." It should be noted that the celebrations for the 5th National Day for the promotion of the use of Khmer products, 9th of April 2022, will not be organized in public places, but will be commemorated through the promotion of using Cambodian products. This is to help local producers consider processing more Khmer products, promote the added value of using locally made products, improve the quality of product safety, aesthetic packaging, and set the products at reasonable prices to compete in both domestic and international markets. Deccan Nin, EAC News.
The National Election Committee has decided to reject a list of candidates from the Candlelight Party to contest the upcoming Commune District Council elections due to the cited of lack qualifications. EAC News reporter Dashana Guchin has further details.
The removal of the Candlelight Party candidates from the running at the upcoming Commune District Council elections was classified by the NEC as rejecting the list of candidates of the political party for 5 communes and rejecting candidate registration for 6 communes. NEC spokesman Hung Putia confirmed to EAC News that where it is categorized as rejecting the list of candidates of political parties in a certain commune, the party as a whole is no longer eligible to run in the election for that commune. However, the other characterization of rejecting candidate registration only removes the names of the specific candidates from the running and still allows the party to run in the elections. According to a press release issued on Monday, 4th April 2022, the NEC said that the decision to reject this list of candidates was due to the fact that the Candlelight Party was cheating with their choice of candidates, as some who were in the running could not properly read or write in Khmer, faked their identities, did not fill out their declarations agreeing to stand for the elections in person, forging their fingerprints or signatures on their resumes, and failing to meet sufficient conditions in accordance with the laws, regulations, and procedures and the time limit for the registration of candidates at the Commune District Election Commission. The press release states that the cancellation of the list of candidates from the Candlelight Party in 11 Commune District Council elections is in accordance with Articles 35, 36, 37, 39, 40, 41, and 42 of the Commune District Council election law. EAC News was unable to contact the acting chairman and spokesman of the Candlelight Party, Tak Seta, to request a comment on the removal of his party's candidates from 11 communes in the upcoming elections. The 5th Commune District Council elections will begin on 5th June 2022. According to the National Election Committee, a total of 17 parties have registered to run and vote. Darshana Gochan, EAC News.
The Ministry of Health has announced the addition of extra vaccine sites from the 13th to the 17th of April 2022 at the major entertainment venues to make it easier for people to receive the COVID-19 vaccine during their Khmer New Year travels. EAC News reporter Srey Paul Kong has more.
According to a press release issued by the Ministry of Health, during the occasion of the Khmer New Year, the 25 capital provincial administrations will add more COVID-19 vaccination sites at major entertainment areas and pagoda to facilitate the provision of COVID-19 vaccines, both the base doses and the booster doses. The ministry also emphasized to all citizens, including those who have not yet been vaccinated at all, and those who need to get their third or fourth booster shot after leaving a gap of at least 4 months from their previous dose, that vaccinations can be regularly obtained at national hospitals, provincial hospitals, referral hospitals, and health centers that are open daily. Additionally, during the Khmer New Year, citizens will have the added convenience of getting vaccinated at major resorts or pagodas. The Ministry of Health has reiterated its call for people to receive the basic dose of the COVID-19 vaccines as well as the booster doses when eligible in order to boost community immunity and prevent the further spread of the disease and reduce the incidence and severity of the disease, especially from the new Omicron variant, which is still circulating in the community, along with the other new virus mutations. Furthermore, the ministry urged pregnant women, women who are breastfeeding, patients being treated for chronic illnesses, and those who have recovered from COVID-19 with a 4-month interval to go and get vaccinated at the pro-listed locations. The announcement of the addition of extra vaccination sites during the Khmer New Year by the Ministry of Health came after Prime Minister Hun Sen said during the inauguration ceremony of the 38 roads infrastructure in Siem Reap that the ministry should facilitate citizens who travel for the holidays to allow them to receive both entertainment and vaccination at the same time. Srey Pokong, EAC News.
The Phnom Penh Capital Administration has informed all residents of Phnom Penh that from the 14th to the 16th of April, during the Khmer New Year, all forms of water fights and throwing powder are banned, along with gambling and the use of fireworks and other explosives in order to maintain dignity. EAC News reporter Darshana Gochan has more details.
In an announcement released by the Phnom Penh Capital Administration on Monday, 4th April, activities such as water shooting games, throwing or spraying water and throwing water bags, throwing powder, slapping or hitting motorcyclists and their passengers with hands or whips, chasing each other on the streets, as well as gambling, the use of fireworks and all kinds of explosives, will be banned during the upcoming Khmer New Year. The announcement also calls on Phnom Penh residents to respect traffic laws and to not drive while intoxicated, and to actively prevent fires and to be careful with the use of candles, incense, and electric stoves. Additionally, the capital administration also urges citizens to pay attention to their health and hygiene and to closely follow the guidelines set by the Ministry of Health to prevent the further spread of COVID-19. Local authorities have been ordered to disseminate this information and take legal action on anyone engaging in prohibited acts in order to effectively protect the dignity of the nation as well as to maintain safety, security, and public order in Phnom Penh. Darshana Gochan, EAC News.
Cambodia has reported 30 new COVID-19 cases, none of which have been imported. There have been 127 patient recoveries and 1 new death. The Kingdom has now recorded 15,371 cases of Omicron, 1,353 imported, and 14,018 community cases. Cambodia's COVID-19 case tally has now climbed up to 135,812. The death toll stands at 3,055. The number of patients treated successfully since the pandemic reached Cambodia is 132,328, and the tally for imported cases has climbed up to 21,210. Healthcare workers are now currently treated a total of 353 patients. Now for a look at the news making international headlines this Thursday, the 5th of April.
Drastic cuts to fossil fuel use, growing forests and eating less meat. These are just some of the actions needed in this decade to contain global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial temperatures, a major report by the UN Climate Science Agency said on Monday, April 4th. Despite climate change warnings issued by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change since 1990, global emissions have continued to rise in the last decade, reaching their highest point in history. The result, global emissions are on track to blow past the 1.5 degrees Celsius warning limit envisioned in the 2015 Paris Agreement and reach some 3.2 degrees Celsius by the century's end.
This report of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change is a litany of broken climate promises. It is a file of shame, cataloguing the empty pledges that put us firmly on track towards an unlivable world. We are on a fast track to climate disaster. Major cities underwater, unprecedented heat waves, terrifying storms, widespread water shortages, the extinction of 1 million species of plants and animals. And this is not fiction or exaggeration. It is what science tells us will result from our current energy policies.
At this point, only severe emissions cuts in this decade across all sectors, from agriculture and transport to energy and buildings, can turn things around, the report says. Even then, governments will also need to bolster efforts to plant more trees and develop technologies that could remove some of the carbon dioxide already in the atmosphere after more than a century of industrial activity. We left COP26 in Glasgow with a naive optimism based on new promises and commitments, said Guterres, added that current climate pledges would still mean a 14% increase in emissions, and most major emitters are not taking the steps needed to fulfill even these inadequate promises. He said that the high-emitting governments and corporations are adding fuel to the flames based on their vested interests and historic investments in fossil fuels. They broke their promises. Unless there are immediate and deep emission reductions across all sectors, limiting warming to 1.5 degrees will be beyond reach, IPCC report co-chair Jim Skier told a news conference, marking the launch of the last report in a 3-part series by the IPCC, with the next review cycle not expected for at least another 5 years.
Myanmar's military continues to receive support from arms suppliers in Russia as those Southeast Asian countries' armed forces intensify a crackdown on civilians and those opposing its rule. 2 high-ranking police officers who have resigned from their position to become the latest to join the civil disobedience movement against military rule confirmed that the military cooperation has continued between Russia and Myanmar, who have signed the Military Technical Cooperation in 2018. Under the deal, Myanmar had deployed some volunteer soldiers to Russia to participate in ongoing Russia war on Ukraine. Because of these sanctions imposed on Myanmar by Western countries in the junta era, Myanmar was forced to buy weapons from Russia. According to the ex-Air Force captain, Myanmar uses Russian fighter jets to destroy resistance forces. They added the military used Russian-made M135 helicopters, jet fighters, submarines and other military Russian equipment to launch airstrikes in Myanmar, mainly in multiple ethnic states in Sangnam, Karenni and Kayang, leaving a lot of people killed and wounded. Although Russia and Myanmar have a close and important relationship, the ex-officer said that Russia would hide the support of gear it provides the Myanmar military from the public.
Hundreds of indigenous people began gathering in the Brazilian capital on Monday, April 4, for a 10-day protest camp to defend their land's right and oppose a government bill in Congress that would allow mining and oil exploration on their reservations. Organizers are hoping to gather 7,000 people from 200 of Brazil's 305 tribes to press Congress not to pass legislation proposed by far-right President Jair Bolsonaro that would open their protected lands to commercial mining and agriculture. Warriors in feather headdresses with their body painted with black and red dyes of Amazon fruit seeds, dance chanting ritual song as they put up tents on the grassy esplanade next to government ministry in central Brasilia. Sonia Wajajara, head of the country's main indigenous umbrella organization, the Articulation of Indigenous People APIB, which represents most of Brazil, 900,000 indigenous people, said they wouldn't back down. President Jair Bolsonaro has said indigenous people have too much land, holding up the development of the country, and vowed not to recognize an inch more of reservation lands. Environmentalists say the reservation saved the rainforest from destruction. Wajajara said 13% of Brazil territory is protected indigenous reservation land, with 98% of that in the Amazon region. But 400 indigenous communities are still struggling to get their ancestral land recognized. Chief Albiranan said that he wanted to make it known that the indigenous people were the first inhabitant of Brazil. The world should know that they aren't that they are living history, that they are a living book. Bill 191 is being fast-tracked in the lower house of Congress by lawmakers allied to the government who accuse that it is needed to extract potash for fertilizer for Brazil grain crops that depend on import disrupted by the Ukraine war. The legislation backed by the powerful farm lobby would also allow hydroelectric dams to be built on the indigenous lands.
Russia will present factual evidence to the United Nations Security Council that its forces have not been killing civilians in Ukraine and were not involved in events in Bucha and Vasily Nebenza, Russia envoy UN said on Monday the 4th of April.
There is a meeting being held Wednesday, 6th of April between the Russian ambassador and the United Nations Security Council, where Russia claims to show that they have factual evidence that Russia have not been killing civilians as Ukrainians have stated. Russia stated that they have not misled by false narrative promoted by Kiev and its Western sponsors.
We have factual evidence that proves this point. We intend to present it to Security Council as soon as possible, so that the international community is not misled by the false narrative promoted by Kiev and its Western sponsors.
Do you consider that the statements of these women and family members who've watched their own loved ones being killed by Russian troops are fake?
Look, this is a warfare. And in warfare, anything happens, and you cannot exclude that civilians are dying in a war, and that is a sad fact of life. But the footage that we are being presented with, in particular in Bucha, on which I spoke, does not give us any doubt that that was a stage. That was a stage, and we will present more evidence on that tomorrow when we speak in the Security Council. Anyway, let's see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow you will hear more from us. I promise that I'll be more factual, even more factual than today. Thank you very much.
The International Space Station is set to become busier than usual this week when its crew welcomes aboard 4 new colleagues from the Houston-based startup Axiom Space, the first of all private astronaut team ever flown into the orbiting outpost. The launch is being hailed by the company, NASA and other industry players as a turning point in the latest expansion of commercial space ventures, collectively referred to by insiders as the low Earth orbit economy, or LEO economy for short. Weather permitting, Axiom's 4-man team will lift off on Friday the 8th of April at the earliest from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida, riding atop a Falcon 9 rocket finished and flown by Elon Musk's commercial space launch venture SpaceX. The launch was initially scheduled for Wednesday, April the 6th, as Axiom stated did not give a reason for the delay, but the company said its website is continuing pre-launch processing work. If all goes smoothly, the quartet led by retired NASA astronaut Michael Lopez Algera will arrive at the space station 28 hours later as their SpaceX supplied crew Dragon capsule docks at ISS some 250 miles above Earth. Lopez Algira, 63, is a Spanish-born mission commander at Axiom's vice president of the business development. He is set to be joined by Larry Connor, a real estate agent and technology entrepreneur and aerobics avatar for Ayaho, designated as a mission pilot. Connor is in his late 70s, but the company did not provide his precise age. Rounding out the AX-1 team are investor, philanthropist, and former Israel fighter pilot Eaton Stibble, 64, and Canadian businessman and philanthropist Mark Pathy, 52, both serving a mission specialist. Stibble is set to become the second Israel in space after Ihan Ramon, who perished with the 6 NASA crewmates in the 2003 Space Shuttle Columbia disaster. The X-1 crew may appear to have a lot in common with many of the wealthy passengers taking subtorial rides lately aboard the Blue Origin and the Virgin Galactical service, offered by billionaires Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson respectively. But the Axiom executives said their mission is more substantive. It is the beginning of many beginnings for the commercializing low Earth orbit. Axiom's co-founder and executive chairman, Cam Gaffaran, told Reuters in an interview, "We like the early days of the internet, and we haven't even imagined all the possibilities or the capabilities that we are going to be providing in the space." The so-called X-1 team will be carrying equipment and supplies for 26 science and technology experiments to be conducted before they are slated to leave orbit and return to Earth 10 days after launch. These include research on brain health, cardiac stem cells, cancer and aging, as well as technology demonstration to produce optics using the surface tension of fluids in microgravity, company executive said. Launched to orbit in 1998, ISS have been continuously occupied since 2000 under the US Russian-led partnership, including Canada, Japan, and 11 other European countries. While the space station has hosted visits from civilian visitors from time to time, the X-1 mission will mark the first all-commercial team of astronauts to use the ISS for its intended purpose as an orbiting laboratory. They will be sharing the weightless workspace alongside 7 regular crew members of the ISS, 3 US astronauts, a German astronaut, and 3 Russian cosmonauts. Axiom said it has contracted the SpaceX for the fly 3 more missions to orbit over the next 2 years. NASA selected Axiom in 2020 to design and develop a new commercial wing to the space station, which currently spans the approximate size of a football field. Flight hardware for the first Axiom module is currently undergoing fabrication, the company has said. Plans call for eventually detaching the Axiom modules from the rest of the outpost when ISS is ready for retirement around 2030, leaving the smaller Axiom station in orbit as a commercial-only platform, Graffarin said. Other private operators are expected to place their own stations in orbit once ISS is decommissioned.
We're like early days of internet, and we haven't even imagined all the possibilities, all the capabilities that we're going to be providing in space. So our part is to sort of create this platform, like you said, where it will enable all these other capabilities, all these other companies to flourish and do their activities. And we'll be selling that platform as a service for them. We now know that when you go to space, there's a little bit of acceleration in aging, right? And so we're doing some clinical research and saying, wow, if there's a little acceleration, and identifying what causes that acceleration, and by understanding that, can we slow aging or even stop it for that matter? And then there's some relationship, for example, to the T cells that we discovered, and there is some connectivity to even cancer. So, for example, can we come up with a cure of cancer?
China's economic hub of Shanghai has enforced nucleic acid tests for all its 25 million residents on Monday in efforts to completely eliminate potential risk of COVID-19 transmission.
On Sunday, Shanghai reported 425 locally transmitted COVID-19 cases and 8,581 asymptomatic carriers, the local health commission said. To tame the surge in cases, more than 10 designated hospitals, backup designated hospital, and temporary hospital, as well as some public facilities which were transformed into temporary sites, are open to make sure that all suspected and confirmed patients are admitted to the hospital. Meanwhile, authorities are actively allocating the city hemodialysis treatment resources and coordinating with medical institutions citywide to ensure that patients needing hemodialysis receive normal treatment amid the resurgence of COVID-19. According to Shanghai Public Security Department on Monday, a total of 50,000 police officers have been dispatched to the front line. Furthermore, 3 Chinese provinces dispatched batches of daily necessity to Shanghai on Sunday to aid in the battle against the epidemic. A cargo train carrying 16 containers of agriculture and sidelight products, including vegetable, eggs, and edible oil, departed from a railway station in Yancheng, East China Jiangsu Province on Sunday, heading for Yangpu Station in Shanghai. In Fuzhou City, East China Jiangxi Province, a township government on Sunday organized more than 40 volunteers to pick and load 14 tons of seasonal vegetables donated by local farmers. A locomotive pulling 3 special carriages on Sunday left a freight yard in Tianshui, Northwest China Gansu Province, and headed for Shanghai. The carriages are full of agricultural and sideline products such as potatoes, onion, and apple, as well as various daily necessities. More than 38,000 medics from 15 provincial level regions nationwide have rushed to Shanghai to aid in the battle against the resurging COVID-19 epidemic, according to the National Health Commission (NHC). Over 11,000 medics have assumed responsibility for work in temporary hospital, and over 23,000 medical workers are responsible for collecting nucleic acid samples, according to Zhao Yahui, a senior NHC official, and nearly 4,000 people have been dispatched to support the work in the COVID-19 testing lab. Nucleic acid testing teams with a daily handling capacity of 2.38 million test tubes have also been mobilized, the commission said.
After the break, a look at all the latest sports news.
If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of our platforms and channels. The EAC News app, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eacnews.asia. Join me and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear.
Tiger Woods is around 80% healthy as he continues to recover from the hand and hip injuries, but will be put advice of the doctors to one side and could tee up this week's at the Masters.
Tiger mania returned to Augusta National in full force on Monday, 4th April, as a cagey Tiger Woods kept the golf world guessing on whether he will be in the Masters field. The Woods watch moved into overdrive as hordes of spectators flooded into Augusta National to catch a glimpse of the 15-time major winner, who has kept fans in suspense, saying on Sunday his Masters participation will be a game-time decision. While Woods gave nothing away on Monday, fans will not have to wait much longer to know his decision, with the 46-year-old scheduled to hold a news conference on Tuesday, along with the publishing of Thursday's first round tee times. After 2 years of COVID-19 restrictions that limited the number of spectators allowed on the ground, the galleries were back, and so was the unmistakable Augusta National buzz, amplified by the sight of Woods working the fairways. The car crashed 14 months ago had threatened to take Woods' right leg and left him in hospital for 3 weeks and then confined to a hospital-type bed at home for 3 months seems a distant misfortune on a picture-perfect Monday. Playing 9 holes during an afternoon practice alongside good friends Fred Couples and Justin Thomas, a relaxed Woods did not have a look of a man struggling to make a decision. Rather, he had the self-assured air of someone who had made up his mind to be on the first tee come Thursday. While Woods was tight-lipped, one of his player partners is certain of what will happen on Thursday. "I hope everything keeps going Tuesday and Wednesday, and I'm sure he's going to tee up Thursday," said Couples. Woods has always maintained that he enters every event with a mindset to win it, and his fellow golfers says not even coming back from a career-threatening injury has changed that approach. If Woods, who was noticeably limping at the end of 9 holes, does commit to play, it would be his first official tournament since defending his title at the 2020 Masters, played in November due to COVID-19.
Ethiopian Dessa Jalmissa produced a burst of speed in the final strings to claim the biggest title of his career with a victory in the Paris Marathon in cold conditions.
Jalmissa covered the 42.195 kilometers in 2 hours, 5 minutes, and 7 seconds, 14 seconds outside his personal best, as he finished ahead of 2021 Chicago Marathon winner and compatriot Seifu Tura. Tura finished the 3 seconds behind the 24-year-old Jalmissa, whose previous title came at the Porto Marathon in 2019. Morhad Amdouni finished third by setting a new French record in 2 hours and 5 minutes and 22 seconds, improving the mark set by Benoit Zerchewski in 2003 by more than a minute. Kenya's Judith Jeptum won the women's race by beating the course record in 2 hours, 19 minutes, and 48 seconds. "The conditions were tough, but I'm happy with what I did today," Jeptum said. The race started shortly before 8 a.m. local time with a temperature just above 0 degrees Celsius. Jeptum was in a league of her own, surging ahead of her rivals before the 30-kilometer mark, and never looked back as she beat the previous best Paris mark set by Kenyan Purity Rionoripo in 2017 by 67 seconds. Ethiopians Fantu Jima and Besu Sado were second and third respectively, more than 3 minutes off the pace. In the men's elite wheelchair race, Frenchman Julien Cassoli became the first person to win the category for a 5th time.
Now let's have a look at the weather and what you can expect for tomorrow. And finally, toy maker Mattel's released its first mass retail toy line that is certified carbon neutral, which includes building blocks designed to encourage environmental conscious behaviour.
Mattel's Mega Blocks toy line, designed for preschool children, now includes the Greentown range, including a solar farm, wind turbines, recycling trucks, and beehive.
It's fantastic for Mega Blocks to have this opportunity to really sort of introduce children to these sustainable behaviors and sustainable ways of living at a very young age, so that they grow up learning and knowing about these things right from the very start.
The company says 4 different play sets in the Greentown range are now certified as being made with more than 50% plant-based plastics and at least 26% biocircular plastics, which are traditional plastics mixed with plant-based or recycled material. The toys still remain safe and of good quality for children to play with for a long time. Mattel says the Greentown's range carbon neutral status included the purchase of 500 metric tons of carbon dioxide offsets from a forest conservation project in Canada. They are working toward their 2030 goal of having 100% recycled, recyclable, or bio-based plastics in all of their products and packaging. Similarly, in 2018, LEGO unveiled its first range of sustainable building blocks made entirely from plant-based plastic in a bid to tackle waste and environmental change. The new elements were made from polyethylene, a soft, durable plastic that can be produced with ethanol extracted from natural sugarcane material.
Where no conscious action is too small.
Thank you for watching the Daily Roundup here on the EAC News Channel. For more breaking news and updates, check our websites eacnews.asia or search EAC News on Telegram, Smart TV or at our favourite app store. More from the EAC News team tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We'll see you then.